Growing up, did you always know that you wanted to work in the TV and film industry? I know that's such a cliche question, but I feel like some people fall into this industry and then some people always knew that they wanted to be in it.
Hell no.
Welcome back to Behind the Reel. Today we have another very special guest, a good friend of mine. They're doing their thing in the industry right now, working as an upcoming writer and multi-hyphenate. I'll definitely let them explain once we get into the interview. So welcome, Lizann. How's it going?
Hi, I'm good. Lizann Dennis, pronouns they, them. Nice to meet everybody. I'm just here to share the knowledge I can and, help future generations to get, there and know that they can.
Perfect. That's the whole purpose of this show, is exposure. So we've been talking to a lot of people of color who work in the industry, just getting their experience, their journey. So definitely wanted to have you on here today. So let's just go right into the interview. So what I want to know is, growing up, did you always know that you wanted to work in the TV and film industry? I know that's such a cliche question, but I feel like some people fall into this industry and then some people always knew that they wanted to be in it.
Hell no.
Yes, thank you for keeping it honest.
I'll keep it real. Was not prepared. My full intention since I started writing actually was always to just do book writing. Like I never anticipated doing anything with TV. I was like, oh, it's too much. It's too Hollywood. It's too bougie, whatever the case may be. But I had a decision to go to New York or LA. And when I came to LA and I saw what it was about, I was like, man, that's great storytelling. It's like the level of things that have to happen for the story to come from it being told one way to the director getting their hands on it and telling it a different way to the editing that shifts that story just a little bit more. So it all comes together in this just beautiful dance that just drew me in. And I was like, I'm here to waltz. Let's go.
So I want to dig a little deeper into that. When you said you that you weren't thinking about doing that when you were young, you sort of just fell into it. And there's a lot of people too who start off as authors and then sort of that ends up transitioning into writing scripts. That was me for sure. I never fathomed that I would be writing scripts until I got to LA because I came for writing books. But were you exposed to anyone who worked in the industry prior to you moving to LA? Did you know any screenwriters or anybody working behind the scenes?
I wish that I had, only so that I had a better idea or grasp on what to expect. But no, I had no access to anyone. I knew very little at all regarding how it was done, what avenues to take. So I'm still currently trying to find the direction towards which I need to go in order to develop into what I want to develop into. And that's, that multi-hyphenate,
Right.
and it's challenging, but it's its own thing. It's just a different direction to approach the same goal that a lot of other people have.
So why did you make the decision to move to LA? Because I want to dig into that. A lot of people, and tell us where you're from too, but a lot of people move to LA or they go to New York thinking that they have to live on one of the coasts to make it an entertainment. So why did you move to LA?
Well, as we can remember, my whole thing was I wasn't trying to be in the entertainment industry. It had nothing to do with that. I just basically was like, I need to leave Florida, which is where I was from. I was like, I'm going to graduate, I'm going to get out of college, and I'm going to go somewhere. I don't care where. And I was like, well, let's narrow it down. There's 50 states and there's the whole world. I basically gave myself the choice between New York and LA.
Pick the two most expensive places.
Okay. I know. Hey, but you motivated when you get out there. You're like, ooh, that's how much it costs. Let me get on it. But yeah, I chose LA for the weather. And then from there, like I said, I found out about the industry and I was like, oh man, I could do this too. And this is really good, depending on how you approach it, really good opportunity for a different level of storytelling that isn't just books.
Yeah. So what advice would you have for people who are looking at a map just like you did and okay, I'm gonna go to LA. What advice do you have for people who want to make that leap and come to LA on how to navigate, just not necessarily getting in the industry, but just how to navigate LA, because that's the
Mm.
navigation in itself.
Oh yeah. My honest to goodness answer first and foremost is something that a lot of people had told me before I came out here, and what I would tell a lot of people: have something ready before you come. Have something ready, because once you get out here, you are gonna have to kind of hit the ground running. I mean, you don't have to. You could stay to the wayside and stand by and all that, but it's not going to be a good look. You want to have something that shows what you're working towards and establishes you, and then you keep building that as you build your community, your tribe, whatever you want to call it. As you're building those connections, you then expand that and you find people who are trying to go along a similar path. Like I, for example, have a preference to like Afrofuturism. So I find other individuals who are like wanting to go down that vein, and it's a unique vein that hasn't been explored yet. So like we're all like really striving to like build it up. So the hope is you have something that shows and speaks to who you are, and then you'll be able to come into LA and like shop that around, meet other people who have similar ideas, and then just keep going from there.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was having a conversation. We were doing another episode of this, and we were basically talking about, there's nothing wrong with one working a 9 to 5 and hustling, you know what I mean, and then
Yeah.
doing what you got to do on the weekends, or
Mm,
carving out time, and then two, there's also nothing wrong with deciding to stay where you are until you're financially stable to move to a place like LA, because LA is, try not to curse, but it is freaking expensive. Like, that is not an exaggeration. And when I never wanted to live in Los Angeles, I'll be the first to tell people, and I come from the music industry. That's the capital, the hub for music is in LA. So for me, being from the South, I was like, I don't want to live in the South forever, but I didn't want to live in LA because I knew it was expensive. And when I got there, I drive a little Hyundai Elantra. Okay, it should never take $50 to fill up my gas tank. That was a culture shock. Culture shock. And I moved in the summertime. Gas was like $5.
mm, mhm,
Like in
mhm.
Tennessee, gas is like 2, and we were pissed. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm just underscoring the fact that everybody's journey and process is different, and that's why I love having these conversations with different people so that we can get different perspectives, because what works for one person, I know a lot of people who packed up, moved to New York or LA, slept on a friend's floor or slept in their car, whatever the hustle was,
Mhm.
worked at Starbucks during the day, took showers in the bathroom or whole baths in the bathroom at Starbucks, and it was hitting auditions. That's certainly a path that you can go. Everybody's not cut out for that struggle life. I am everybody. I wasn't
Mhm.
cut out for that struggle life. I had
Right.
a job before I moved to LA that was lined up, and then I moved knowing that I was going to have income. And then I started to build connections with people such as yourself who were in the industry. And, that's how I navigated. So,
Yeah,
um, I
I
just want to
agree.
say,
No,
put
I
that
will
out
I will
there.
tag on to that. Yeah, because I mean for me, my path was not like I said, the industry wise, I was working from home. I was doing AAA. I got a work from home job knowing I was coming to California. So I wasn't like, I'm not gonna lose any money on this. I drove over within 2 days and was back on the job as soon as I hit California. Like I set my whole
Mhm,
system right back up and I was like, okay, back to work because I was working from home. So my income never
mhm.
stopped. Like you have to find ways to kind of creatively do it. I wasn't trying to be the one doing whole baths either, homeless or anything. I was like, that's not my style. Um,
Mhm.
so whatever you have to do, find your way. But definitely, I would say come with some kind of finances. Try not to come like completely broke. I mean, if you have to go through the struggle, be ready for it because it's gonna come, but
Mhm.
it's gonna be well worth the journey that you have to go through when you get to the top there, and you just got to keep working at it.
Yeah, and have a plan too, which I think is basically the summary of what we both said.
Yeah.
Is have a plan. Again, there's no shade here for any path. I just want to make that clear. We're not throwing shade, but we're just saying, find what works for you, and then use that to your advantage. But I want to take that and go into another topic. And somebody told me this when I first moved to LA, and it stuck with me. Actually, my old roommate, 'cause he had been in LA at that point for 5 years. We're both from Memphis, and he was saying that yes, it's cool to network, but even when you're networking, you have to be strategic with that, because sometimes you may network with one person and feel like, oh, we're cool, this and this and this, be all up in their face and take a picture, not knowing that there's history with that person and somebody else that you may be also wanting to network. And now, I know it's so messy, but that's Hollywood. Like, the perception is XYZ. So I want to get into like what's sort of your game plan when it comes to networking, and how do you strategically move in and out of these networking spaces?
Oh man, I wish I had a plan for that. What I am learning, I can say this, like for me, I'm still quite honestly learning to navigate people. Um,
Mm.
so what that means is like I really don't know, to how to read people, how to tell what their real motives are, and so forth. So it can be a little difficult. Uh, at the very least, I take time. For me personally, I slowly approach people in the sense of like I observe, I try to give attention to all of their habits, and I try to make sure that I kind of get a good idea of who they are. So mine's the slow creep. Like I will not be like expedient. We are immediate friends. Like I gotta see what your habits are and everything in the long run. When it has now established, what it has now established, I should say, is that my habit is to keep everybody that I know is on the same mindset closer. And like I try to keep those connections up. I try to make sure those people are attainable. And if it so happens that they kind of cross paths with somebody that I didn't know that they don't like,
Which is, by the way, that's impossible to know. Like, you don't know that somebody has beef with
impossible.
somebody. Yeah.
Exactly. But if it does come up like, oh, I know that person, I hope it's in, some good words being put in. But if it's not, I tend to kind of keep an aloof kind of I don't know what the best way to put it. Like I kind of take a step back
Yeah.
and just tell them like, hey, me and this person work together. Hopefully it's cool with you. Not trying to sever our connections. What we have is completely separate. It's almost like a real relationship. It's like,
Hmm.
oh, that was your ex? Well, me and her talk. But we're
Yeah.
not together. I just need you to know, like, we still
Hmm.
cool, right? But yeah, I don't really have a set way right now myself. How about you? Like, I'd like to hear somebody tell me about this. How did you do?
Yeah. Gosh, I'm like you, I'm still learning. But what I can say, again, taking a page from your book, um, is that networking is so important, and I feel like that gets stressed to us. But also, I don't feel like you have to have a network to still be successful. And I think like maybe that's another way of looking at it that a lot of people probably wouldn't agree with.
Hmm.
But I'm a very big fan of, if you build it, they will come. And sometimes you can just focus on making dope shit. You know what I mean? And like doing you. And the right people who should be connected to you will come.
Yeah.
Um, so that's another way of looking at it. I have been to so many networking events, and they give me anxiety as someone who's naturally introverted, which I know people are like, how are you introverted doing interviews? I'm a Virgo. I don't know how we do it. We can just cut it on and off. I'm an ambivert, I guess is the proper way to say that. But huge like networking conferences literally give me anxiety, like, because it's too much. You're trying to figure out how to not be awkward, how to not be creepy, but how to like subtly pitch yourself. And I just never really liked it.
And us introverts, we're not ready to pitch ourselves. We so just
Yeah,
like to ourselves that it's not a thing to like project that out there. So it's like
right.
another layer that's hard. No, I feel you. I actually have to agree with that, what you said. I would definitely say that if anything, for the most part, my network is pretty small, but it's tight. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So, like the people that I do work with, I can work with easily. There's no conflict. It's, as you know, we say nowadays, good energy.
Yes.
And that for me speaks volumes because I can get a lot more done. We're a lot more focused. And if my network stays small, so be it. But I have the right people and the right connections, and that's key, even if it's
Yeah.
the
Yeah. And another thing is like, you don't have to connect with everybody. I think there's this like conception or this idea,
same.
especially in the entertainment industry, because it is such a relationship based industry, and a lot of it is based on who you know. But there are still moments where your work speaks for itself. And then two, Issa Rae talks a lot about networking across. And I think people sort of look at that as like, oh, it's a cliche and Issa Rae can say that because she's Issa Rae, but like Issa Rae wasn't built overnight. You know what I'm saying? She's always been her, but like as far as like the brand that is Issa Rae, if you go back and look at Awkward Black Girl on YouTube to looking at Insecure now, it's literally night and day just from things like production, you know what I'm saying? Sound, the way it looks. And so it's like one of those things where everybody wants to talk to the person at the top. I feel like a lot of people are doing it to chase clout. That's another conversation for another day. Um, but at the same time, like there are people who are more accessible to you that are on Facebook just like you, who are on Instagram just like you. You can follow hashtags. Me, I'm
Mhm.
always looking up like black hashtag black filmmakers, hashtag black poets, whatever, and looking at people who create dope stuff. And that's a good way to link too. So like I don't know if you want to tack anything onto that, but I just want to also put that out there.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I so agree because the thing of it is, like, you have somebody who's across from you. You're sitting there and not dealing with ego. You're dealing with two very passionate people who are trying to rise. So you're going to support each other, especially if you guys have like the same ideas in mind. You're able to kind of bounce off of each other, and that in itself is enough. You don't always have to go straight to the top. You don't always have to sit there and get the big, winning connection or whatever that may be with like a Hollywood store or that top producer or something like that. If you can at least get the work out there, which I've noticed a lot, more, the work will speak for itself eventually. I have a friend who did a skate video a while back, maybe about 10 years ago. And that skate video has now started with like basically a young skater who is now blowing up, and so like they took his old video and they are using it to market this kid, and it's now marketing
Mm,
him. So like they were both at the bottom at the same time, like sitting across from each other, and said, hey, let's do this together. And now
mhm.
that thing has elevated them both. So you can't sit there and think your idea is no good or that somebody's not, worth working with. You definitely have to see who's out there on the same page with you. Take that opportunity like we did and make it happen. Just make it happen.
Absolutely. And also, don't be afraid to say no. You talked about good energy. And honestly, for me, I'll take good energy over status or title any day. And maybe that's something that I picked up from working in the music industry. I don't know, but the person who's like the most obnoxious to work with, even though they probably have the best network, they don't get a lot of things done because it's
Mhm.
so much drama, so like surrounding their brand. And me personally, I just am not interested in that. So it's okay to say no. It's okay to respectfully decline, working with somebody if that person has a reputation for being difficult to work with or just having negative energy or negative drama attached to their projects. Like the last thing you want to do is spend your resources, your time, your
Yeah.
money, your talents, working with somebody thinking that there's a mutual respect between you two. And then when the project comes out, you get screwed, you know what I mean? Or you get blindsided because, that person just has a history of doing that. And you thought that you weren't going to be the one. So it's okay to
No.
say no. Right.
No, I agree. I've learned that not everything is for me.
Hmm.
Like I've definitely had some things like recently, the show that I'm working on, I talked to the actress and told her I was a writer. She threw me this website, and I hope she never sees this. But I looked at the website and I was like, I don't know if it's for me. And I looked at the website, I was like, nope, it's just not. It's like trying to throw myself into that collaboration that her the production company that she's a part of was just not it where I was going. It's not the direction that I'm trying to feed into.
Hmm.
So, I personally said no. Like in my mind, like I didn't necessarily tell her no, but I said
You got to still be smart.
I just said, yeah, it was like, I'm gonna pass. I donate a little money to the production. I do want them to succeed because I never want to see anybody fail. Everybody's in here for a reason. We are all doing something that is, important to us, and it might be important to somebody else out there who needs to see it. But I said, I'm personally just gonna step away, and I'm just gonna keep working on the direction I'm working with the things I'm doing.
Right. So talk to us about your roles now. When we first introduced you as an upcoming writer, hyphenate, hyphenate, hyphenate. So talk to us about those hyphenates and what your current role is.
Man. Well, I've been bouncing around, especially a lot more because I've been trying to look for little projects to work on. The hyphenates include post production. I was a post production coordinator. I've done script supervisor as I did on your short. I've also done office PA. I've been a director's assistant. I've done production assistant, which I'm currently on a production for Netflix as an assistant in that mindset. So I'm just kind of playing into all of the fields because, like I said, I didn't have the background of entertainment. So each one of these positions has helped me to better understand the bigger picture of how
Mhm.
things have come together. Um, my writing is also still like interwoven in that. I'm actually working on a feature film right now with an up and coming director. They basically have the same goals I do of Afrofuturism, and we're working on an AI script.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, so like I'm doing it all. Like whatever I can get my hands on, I'm doing it. The more exposure I get, I find is better. I meet all kinds of people. I get all kinds of mindsets, and I get all kinds of like new ideas just from knowing how others have done it.
Hmm.
So working towards right now the production assistant angle, I have very close access to individuals like the director, the DP, the first AD, our camera operators. Like I have conversations with them. We talk about how this happens, how you can create that, special effects, and I have great discussions, which I love because they tell me all the things and how they like basically invent all of these scenes and all of these effects and so forth. Like if you wanted to rain inside of a building, trust, it is not a simple matter of creating sprinklers. It's not that because half of these things are on a stage. So the
Hmm.
stage is not equipped with any of that. It's great though. Yeah, no, like right now it's definitely a good place to be just because I see a lot of the hands-on and what goes into bringing a script to life, and it's
Hmm.
great.
So that's excellent. And I love that you're not afraid to step into each role. Because there's some people who are and it's fine if you already know which lane that you want to be in. But it's also good too to, sort of do a rotation to figure out like, what you don't like, what you naturally are talented at, what you're naturally good at. And what you think you might want to continue to do. So with that being said, like what are your goals for the future?
Oh man, yes. That forever thing that we keep recreating every time and reinventing.
Yeah.
Currently goals are I still writing is always like top. I really want to get a script out that I can get produced and sell. And the director that I'm working with has the connections to do that. So my hope is to definitely finish that, keep writing. I have books that I want to put out right now that I then want to make into television series. So that's happening. Meanwhile, I kind of have my eye on director only because, like, as a writer, you really want to like make the vision come into view exactly as you see it. So, that gives you a lot of power, especially like in film. I know not so much in TV because there's showrunners and there's like a, what do you call it, a certain level of hierarchy you have to go through and people all have their hands in it. I might still give it a shot. Maybe somewhere where they'll allow me to have more authority, and I'll probably have to end up being a showrunner to do that. So that might be another hyphenate. I don't know about that one yet. Um, that and I even thought of throwing my head in there for like a producer because again, you kind of want to be at the wheel, and I'm personally, well, I personally want to be at the wheel. I don't want anybody steering my project the wrong way. I have a certain
Right.
vision for it. So those are the directions I feel like I want to go. Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up, is there any last words, any advice that you want to leave for the next generation of up and coming hyphenate, hyphenate, hyphenates?
Absolutely. Be confident in yourself. Absolutely be confident. And if anything, never give up. Like, no matter how far away it seems, always continue to put one foot in front of the other and keep striving for it because that is the biggest thing I feel like that will help you through this, is like you having just that resilience to keep pushing forward, keep making new edits, new drafts, keep making new videos, whatever it may be, and exploring your creativity, or like just finding new projects to work on until it all comes together.
Perfect. Well said. Well, Lizann, thank you so much for joining us today. If you like what you all heard, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Come on back, like and comment. And I'll make sure that I link Lizann's contact info, their IG, in the description box. So make sure that you stay connected to them. So thank you so much. And we'll see you next time.